Hello and welcome to the Coffee and Hustle podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about relatable struggles in our business. And I'm very excited to welcome our wonderful host today, our guest speaker, Shira W Rose. She is with Shira W Rose Studio, and she is such a delight and such an inspiration. But let me introduce myself. I am Carla with Designedbycarla. And welcome to the show today, our podcast, Shira W Rose. You want to say a little bit about what you do in your industry?
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks so much, Carla, for inviting me. This is my very first podcast. So let's see how I do.
So you're a podcast virgin is basically what you're saying.
Yes, a podcast virgin. Yes. So I'm a photographer and an entrepreneur. And, it wasn't until I really turned 40, it was actually around my 40th birthday, that I discovered this passion for photography. And all started off with me doing cause work. Like I have a son who's on the autism spectrum, so I started doing a lot of work with that community. But as I wanted to do so much more, I started photographing women, and I'm just kind of worked my way into that niche. So I photograph women of all ages, and I love it. It's so rewarding to watch a woman or a young girl walk into my studio. Most of the time, people aren't very confident about themselves. And so just through the photography, the whole process, a woman's able to see how incredible they are. And I mean, there's no greater thing than to help someone see how incredibly beautiful they are.
Well, I had to say that not just because you're family, and for those that don't know, Shira is my cousin, and we come from the same spectrum of, family, entrepreneurship, leadership, it's just instilled in us. But I have to say that from years of being in this business, that you're probably one of the most talented photographers that I've ever seen before. And I'm not just saying that because you are family. I'm saying that because you just capture something in your talent. It just comes across so beautifully. So I have to say that you found your niche after going through so much. But I remember you back in the day when you used to work for a company called RG and Company. And you were what was it? You were doing recruiting, right? You were doing some recruiting for a company.
Yeah. It was a high-end search firm for sales and marketing professionals, like across the nation. And I mean, that was a really, really great job. But that was pre-children and, pre-discovering that, that I had a son on the spectrum as well. So your energy doing the recruiting industry is a little bit different than the photography industry. Both allow you to do great things for people, but I just sort of moved into the photography world. Isn't that crazy? Two different things: recruiting, photography. I don't know. They don't really relate, do they?
Yeah, and that's what throws me, because I've known you for so long, and then you can. But it's really interesting to know that you can have the motivation of, like, you don't have to be stuck in one place for the rest of your life. If there's something that you have a calling for, you can transition. And I think that's such a great value to really let people know it's okay to step outside of the norm and be who you're really meant to be. Right. And I think that that's something that we really have to instill in people and let them know that it's okay to change directions every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't see it coming. I mean, I guess that's a great point, and it's something I actually talk about more on the photography side. But really, it kind of applies to anything. I think with age comes confidence, right? And
Yeah, I think it's not just age. I just think it's just that there's just so many tools that are available to us now. Right. Back in the day, we had to learn how to be a business owner. I mean, I don't think the word entrepreneur really existed back then. Business ownerships, were unlikely with a lot of women, because let's be honest, but I think that as time has gone on, there's so much now available to us that we can test the waters to find out what it is that we really want to do. And I think that it's great that you finally figured things out, even, during the time that I started knowing you, when it came to your business, you started out in one avenue and now you're going in a whole separate direction.
It is. And, I will say, just in thinking as you're talking about this, I never really kind of put two and two together. But as a recruiter, your job is to really understand a person and really, you're helping them find the job of their dreams, right? And so you're understanding who they are. And as a photographer, you're looking at somebody and you're trying to figure out, understand, you know, the type of photography that I do for women is you're trying to, where does their vulnerability? What are they trying to accomplish? Who are they trying to be? And so it's kind of the same. It's sort of the same thing. I guess you're just really reading somebody and helping them with whatever that need is. So I guess, that skill set wasn't really wasted. It was just expanded upon.
Yeah. And that motivated you to really, motivate you to really build your business at this point. So, but why photography after all these years?
Well, I mean, I grew up in a family full of it was mostly the men, but everybody, had a camera and the dark room with the black and white pictures. I mean, I just grew up around that. And, you don't realize how much you love that and, or how much that instills something inside of you. And so, when I had my youngest son, Brooks, and, in order, in spending time with him, I just started photographing him quite a bit. And through that, I started photographing individuals in the autism community. And I began to see firsthand that ability to be able to capture someone on the spectrum as their parents see them, not when they're in a world where they have their shield up. And that is I could capture the most beautiful, true, authentic images of, someone on the spectrum. And I loved it so, so very much. And it's something I really, really enjoy doing, but it's not something I can make a living off of. So it's something I continue to do. It's my cause, my charity. But, in order to make a living in photography, I had to think of another cause that really mattered to me. And that's women. I mean, I'm a woman. I'm every woman, and I know that women don't see their value. And I don't think beauty is necessarily the only value of a woman, but most women want to feel pretty and want to see their beauty. So just kind of seeing them transform and walking in feeling less confident and walking out feeling incredibly confident is the most amazing thing I could ever experience. I don't know. It's hard to really.
Well, I definitely relate to some of that, that conversation that you're having with me because, we both basically motivate each other. And I think that's such a great thing because, balancing not only just being a mom and a parent and all those things, and then trying to be a business owner too. I think that has a lot to do with it. But the thing that really gets us is that we're females and, we need those motivational bouncing conversations or bouncing ideas, and we need to be able to do those kinds of things with each other. And it's good that I reach out to you a lot, and we have those kind of conversations, those business conversations and family conversations too. But we know when to shut those things off and when to have business talk. And it kind of reminds me back in the day when I used to talk to these things to my dad when he was when he was alive, and he was such a great entrepreneur. I mean, he was such an inspiration when it came to, knowing what we needed and how we ran our business. And I think that's how we continue to build our business and, during times when we need it the most, especially when things are the hardest, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. Now, I really haven't mentioned how much, you're my cousin. Yes. And gosh, I feel so fortunate, that we are cousins and we're friends and we have so much in common because, there's, it's hard to find that woman with an entrepreneurial spirit who really gets, the vision of a dream and all the hard knocks that you have to go through just to kind of just get to one goal. But you've also helped me with my business. And I guess we need to really point that out, how much you've helped me, with my business. Cause I've had, it's a social media world out there, and it is, there's just so much information and, to kind of stay current. And you've been such a great resource and help with that and helped me so much. And, let's just, we must mention last year. Remember last year when I used a branding firm that
Yeah.
paid buku bucks to. And really, I walked away with no logo, no website, no really hardly anything. And, Carla, you really helped me immensely. And because I was in the middle of rolling out my new boudoir brand. And, I could not have done that without you. So y'all have to check that out because the girl helped me out. And so I must say thank you. And if you're, for people who tend to want to, people who may or may not see the value in somebody who understands, social media and all the intricate details and SEO and all this stuff. I mean, as an entrepreneur and a creative being, that stuff's not, that's not my jam. And I need somebody on my team that understands that. And, there has to be many people listening to this that gets that. And I say, use Carla all day long.
Oh, well, I guess I just don't think of like, I don't know. It's just for me, like, I think about, more of, how do I continue to help and inspire others, whether it's, a great advice or not. I think that's just normal. I think that's who we are as individuals. So whenever you needed something, we needed to step up and help each other out, whenever it came time for that. So what advice, based off of that, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self right now? Like, if you could go back, would you change some things in your life at this point?
I'm sure I would. Let me think about that. What would I change? I mean, all these mistakes that we make. I might have changed a boyfriend or two, a husband or so, but I'm just kidding. Don't tell them I said that. I would probably, if we're talking business, I probably would go through all the same mistakes. I probably, every mistake I made needed to teach me something, right? So made me appreciate where I am right now. I'd like to say I wouldn't have hired that branding firm last year, but I wouldn't really appreciate branding, or I wouldn't have discovered things about myself that I could do either if I wouldn't have gone through that. So we are talking business, right? Not personal.
Well, I think that in ways we kind of have to think about the business aspect, because I think that's what's important, on that aspect. Could you change how you were doing business? Would you become a photographer back then? You almost like saying that you discovered it when you're 40. Do you feel like that maybe when you were 20, would you have been, that photographer that you are today?
No, would not. I had to have a Brooks, my youngest son, to understand the power of photography, because honestly, it's really, let's just think about, I try to say this when I talk about people, on the spectrum, and this is not every person on the spectrum, but it's quite a few people on the spectrum, especially children. When you walk through your life and you have a shoebox filled with imagery that you love of yourself, I feel like most photographers don't understand how to allow somebody on the spectrum to be themselves and to give them that time. And so therefore they don't have a shoebox filled with beautiful images. And so it was through realizing that I had that capability to capture these images of these, individuals on the spectrum, that I realized the power of portraits. They're so powerful because they let individuals, not just people on the spectrum, but women who don't feel confident, men, it doesn't matter who you are. It lets you capture that moment in time and see you for yourself. And I don't think I would have gotten that at 20 or even 30. I wasn't even ready for that. I think this was the time for me to do that.
I think business wise, we all transition. I can remember back when, I was started out as just trying to get a job. I just wanted a job, and after I graduated college, I just wanted somebody to hire me, and there wasn't anybody to hire me at the time. And so I was just very fortunate on finding someone that gave me an opportunity to discover what I really wanted to do, because I think at the time I thought, programming, I was just a programmer at the time, and I knew, okay, well, I just want to program, I just want to be a nerd forever. And I felt like that's what I was going to be. And I realized that was not where my calling was. And I realized that was just not me. I needed a more of a creative outlet. And I think that kind of goes back into the family aspect, because we're a family of creators. We're filled with a lot of creativity. Dad was a DJ, and Grandma Gigi, she was in theater, you know what I mean? And so it just changes. I think over time you figure out where, where you fit in your business, after trying some things out, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
But I don't know if I could change my 20-year-old self, because I was still in college.
That's true.
I was still trying to get through college. I was still trying to, figure out what it is that I wanted to go to school for. And there was times where I was definitely burned out. I didn't want to go, that was hard, trying to work full time and put myself through college, because that's what I did at the time. I paid my way through, I mean, you figure it out as you go. But I do think that we just discover as we get older, and get more, we kind of fall in love in and out with our jobs every once in a while. I think, we find out what we love and we find out what we don't love, you know what I mean? After, when we focus on those things, you know what I mean?
I mean, that is really true. That is really true. I mean, you've done similar things, but you've evolved so much, right? Don't you think? I mean, you're kind of
Yeah.
doing the same. You're doing the same thing, but as technology has increased, or changed or evolved, you've had to keep up with that. And man, I mean, it changes by the day. I don't know how you do it.
I don't know sometimes either, but I mean, honestly, just you kind of focus on the same techniques to a certain degree, because everybody falls in that kind of like that same domino, but you got to figure out which way and what direction everybody needs to be. But I think it's all pretty much almost the same. You just approach each client differently, because everybody's got a different need and you need to have them in different directions. I think it's all about, years of just being able to balance it, because it's hard being a business owner. It's hard to, keep the brain creativity and always focusing and creating ideas and motivating. How many times do I get a call from a client going, "Hey, I need some motivation today," and I'm here usually answering the phone call for them. So I do think that that's a hard question to ask when people ask me, well, "What would you go back and do differently?" Would you, if you had a fortune teller sitting you telling you, what your life was expecting, would you have done the same thing? Probably so. We'd probably be doing some stupid stuff like we do like back then.
For sure. Well,
Do you ever feel like, as a business owner, do you ever feel like you're stuck? Do you feel stuck sometimes?
I do. I do. I do for different reasons. I do when I'm doing something that I'm not good at. You know what I'm saying? Like social media and all that stuff. I mean, it takes me all day to sometimes do a post. Isn't that stupid? But I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to that stuff. And I may not come across as a perfectionist, but I really need someone.
Oh no, I think you come across as a perfectionist.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm my almost worst enemy. But I think when I started my journey of photography journey, and I went from because I really had my cause side, my autism awareness side down, and it was my jam, and I did it my way, and I didn't look to anyone else on how they did things. And it wasn't until I started thinking about, well, how can I make an income and still do this, and I knew that it was not to charge in the autism world, but to charge on the portrait side. So I had to learn how that worked. And so when I started looking at what everyone else was doing, it really hurt me. It hurt my creativity.
Did you feel overwhelmed?
I stopped photographing in my way, my jam. I felt like I had to do it in the way these other photographers were doing it. And
yes, you were.
And it took me a year, probably.
Yeah.
Honestly, it took me a year to wake up and go, what am I doing? I mean,
yeah.
And so once I let go of that, then my work, my jam starts coming into play. And I mean, I love my stuff. I try and capture the spirit of it.
So I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think this kind of leads into the question is like, we create our own path. Like we really, no matter what business we're in, we are our own leader in some way. And we have to figure out that we can't really follow the mold of everyone else, even though we're offering the same types of services, but we're different and we still have to be us. And I think that's so important. When we lose us in the mix of our business, I think that piece, we miss that piece. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I did. It hurt me financially. It hurt me creativity. I can't say that word. It hurt me my relationships. I know that sounds crazy, doesn't it? But when I lost who I was, and trying to be other people or trying to, be that person, it really was very unhealthy, honestly, and it did make me feel stuck.
So what would you say right now is your biggest, if you looked at it, what is your biggest success today? I can't even talk today. So what is your biggest success today, like right now?
My biggest success.
Yes.
Well, I will say that I overcame my branding mishap last year, um, and I rolled out a new boudoir brand, and it took off like gangbusters. It was the thing I had envisioned in my mind for years before I was brave enough to actually do it. And so I would say January 1, I rolled it out, and you know, I had many bookings, and I didn't think they would come. I didn't think it. I didn't know if they would come. I didn't know what people would think about a more boudoir-esque
Do
type
you feel
stuff.
like that? Do you feel like in some ways you were kind of holding your breath a little bit, and then once you did it, you were like, I can finally breathe a little bit?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I'm telling you, it has been the most rewarding thing. I mean, now that we're kind of doors closed, I'm having to be creative on what I'm going to be doing and how I'm going to make it work because I'm determined to make things work. Let me tell you right now. So, but I would say the boudoir, rolling up my boudoir brand is my most recent. I mean, I have a lot of things. I mean, I am very fortunate. I have a grant for an autism related project that's coming up too. So there could be more than one, trust me, and which is a good thing to say in the current times that we're in.
So so now that we're in this situation that we're in right now, which is businesses, the doors are closed, we're not able to get out and do the same type of business sale that we're accustomed to. How do you feel like you've been having to pivot your business during this time? How are you pivoting that right now? What are you doing?
Well, I think I've lost about 3 weeks and just feeling helpless and hopeless. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, I think a lot of people just in general who have small businesses who had to close the doors, either they stood up right away and they figured out what they're going to do to be proactive. It took me a little while because I thought, how could I possibly be proactive and creative as a photographer? But I actually have come up with some great ideas once I snapped out of my little pity party. I don't know if you call it a pity party, but you know what I'm saying. If you couldn't do your work, you would understand exactly what I'm talking about. So, but there's a few things. We're going to all be able to eventually walk out of our doors and walk into small businesses again. So I'm going to do a raffle in honor of Autism Awareness Month. And the raffle will be towards my top, package for, portrait package. So I'm really excited about that. And I'll be rolling that out next week. And I had my very first shoot today. This is going to sound crazy, but you saw the pictures, so
Yeah, they were great, actually.
So there's a small trend going on, and I really, really dig it. And I had to try it out for myself to see if I felt comfortable. But it's basically a webcam photo shoot, and this is really great for people who have always wanted to try boudoir. And if you don't know what that means, that's more intimate portraiture, just for women. And but it's who want to try boudoir. And if you have an iPhone, we could FaceTime each other, or we could do a Zoom call. But I'm going to offer a series of photo shoots webcam. It sounds so crazy. You have to see the images to understand what it looks like. I think it feels like a Polaroid picture, 70s vibe imagery, but it's so beautiful. I can't wait. Again, I did my first one today and I love it. So I can't wait.
So do you feel like, even after, let's say that we get released,
Mhm,
right? We get released from all this
mhm.
and we're able to open up our doors again and we go full force back into our business. Is this part of the business that you're going to continue to offer to other people? Because you're not going to be just limited in your space. You'll be able to reach out to people that that definitely want to do something like this, that they don't have to live in your city to do it. They could reach out to you to do this, right?
That's exactly right. So, I mean, the person I photographed this morning, we actually talked about that. I mean, she actually is in Oklahoma. So I just photographed somebody today in Oklahoma, and I'm in North Carolina. So, we talked about that. I think I think this is going to be a great opportunity for people who just want to test the waters and they're not sure if they want to make that huge investment because it's a fraction of the price because you're not going to get printed images. You're just going to get digital images. You're not going to get the hair and makeup that you usually get in a session. So we spend time together in the privacy of your own home. I'm just happen to be by video, so it's
Yeah.
interesting. But I think the answer is yes. I think it's going to be great for people who don't really want to spend the money quite yet, want to test the waters. Maybe they want to be photographed by me. We don't live in the same town, and I'm not coming to their area anytime soon. So I do think this is pretty brilliant. It is crazy. So
I think it's an awesome idea. I think it's a way for you to reach out and allow these people to test the waters to see if this is really what they want to do. So my question to you, I think if you had advice for people that wanted to go into business or starting a business, what would be one of the things that you say was the hardest struggle?
Um, um, I think that, well, first of all, you must be passionate about what you do. I think that's the most important thing. So, first, number one, you must be passionate. That's to be something that you get up in the morning and you think about. You go to bed at night, you're constantly thinking about. You must love what you do because it is hard, hard, hard work. There's a million things to do. I mean, you need to get a license. So, you need to make sure you have all that. I would say set your business up initially, even if it's small, as if it's going to be big. So you can go ahead and get that stuff done. You know what I mean? Like, just set it up like it's going to be a big business. Make sure you have your bank accounts, your license, your name is registered. My God,
Getting an accountant.
get an account. Like, just do
Get
all
an
that
accountant.
right. Do all that
That's
right.
Absolutely. Don't try to do it on your own in the beginning because you're going to run into missing out on some real opportunities. Getting those things set up, I think, is the setup part, the admin part of it is so important, I think.
And your brand is crucial. You can start off small potatoes. I would say it's just a digital world. You got to definitely, or I don't know if that's the right terminology, but you definitely have to have a website presence. It doesn't matter. You have to have one. You need a logo. Even if it's a one-page website, you need to have that. So I would say I would invest. Don't be too frugal. Don't go out for the one that's going to charge you $200 because you're going to get $200. That would definitely be my advice. Worth of a website development. So I would say your brand is crazy important. So and you need to understand your maybe take a glimpse at your competitors just to kind of see who's out there, what they're doing. You don't have to base everything off of that, but just it's nice to know that kind of stuff.
Do you feel like you get caught up in the competitor side of things sometimes?
No,
Yeah, smart.
no, I do not. I know that there's a bazillion photographers in my area as everywhere, but I think people are going to come to me because they like my style of photography and like the service that I give them. Like me, and they'll like me. I think that everybody has a different vibe, and for anyone that's shopping around for the least expensive price photography, then I'm probably not that person's photographer.
Yeah, I think it's all about connecting.
Yeah.
I think it's all about, are you talking the same language? Do you have the same goals? Are you creating, stuff for your potential client the way, are you understanding their language? I think it's so important to be that liaison. Because I could talk tech and nerd all day, but my clients can't really follow that too much. So I got to be able to interpret that information over to them. Do you feel like that when I'm talking to you? Do you feel like I make it easy for you to understand what I'm trying to say sometimes? Do you feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we don't get too bogged down in the technical the deep down and dirty technical stuff. No, I pretty much, I mean, that's why I like talking to you about this kind of stuff, because you help me understand, I mean, I get lost a little bit. I mean, that's just because this is not my jam, but you do such a great job, no doubt. I'm sure most of your clients would say the same thing.
Yeah. So I feel like that, over years, you kind of just like make it in the simplest of terms for people to understand. So I have a question for you. Do you really, I love motivational quotes, and I know you do too, because kind of like the same, we're very like-minded, you know that? And I think that has a lot to do with our family, with Dad and even Grandma Gigi, who was a huge inspiration for both you and I to be in business. And I think they gave us the I guess the courage, because it takes courage to run a business. It takes courage to be a business owner. A lot of times when, people could say things like, you don't need to open a business. You should be just a mom, or you should be just a wife, or whatever, or you should just go get a job. That a lot of times people say that things to you, but I think, like you should just go get a job. But a real job is what they'll say sometimes. But you kind of brush that stuff off because you block the negativity. So, what are some of the inspirational quotes that you use that you really like to use?
Well, I've got a few that I like, and it depends on what's going on with me, that the ones I gravitate towards. But, if I'm talking about quotes for my entrepreneurial brothers and sisters, or just people that just need to understand, to look inside themselves to help guide where they go next, whether it's the next trip, the next stage in life, whatever it is, this is one of those go-to quotes. So, it's called Yes, and it's basically goes like this. So do it then. Do the things you've been dreaming of for years and years. Do the things that you cannot go a day without thinking about. Do the things your heart begs you to do. Not next year, not next month, not next week. My lovely friend, do it today. Start now. Don't let your fears or doubts stop you any longer. Your heart is begging you to finally say yes.
Yes.
I walk the earth.
Yes. 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 I'll say it. Yes.
Yeah, girl. We're yes girls.
Yes, we're yes girls. That's for sure. So one of my favorite. So I'll share one of my favorite quotes, and it says, "Be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire."
I love that.
Right, and I think that goes back to what you were saying earlier. You started out was owning a company as a recruiter. Being a specialist for that. And then here you are pivoting into a photography business that you're exceptionally talented in. Just taking that and changing that. I think that's where you start finding, where is it that you're on fire? I think your soul's on fire.
Thank you.
Do you feel like your soul's on fire?
My soul is on fire. It wasn't on fire a few weeks ago when I was thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? And the world is falling apart. But now that I've kind of sat down, instead of, here's basically, I just got off the couch and said, I have to do something. I'm not going to let this kick me in the butt. And so I sat down and wrote on paper what I was going to do.
And I think that's so important. I mean, you're not alone.
No,
that's the thing about it. The whole thing is that you're not alone. A lot of businesses have had to make these sudden changes. And of course, some people really came to a complete stop, but they've figured out a way around the system to continue to at least pay their bills or feed their family. And I think that's so important. And, now you're doing that. And, are you ever going to go back to what you were doing before? You are, but you're going to add all these other things that you've learned along the way. And I think this is a great way of looking at it. This is a learning curve, no matter where you're at in your business. This is a huge learning curve. You'll know because, being in business as long as I have been for almost 17, 18 years now, you kind of figure out what works, what doesn't. And so when those things happen, you can kind of ride the wave a little bit. It's like riding that roller coaster, And I don't necessarily want to ride the roller coaster, but nobody does. But there's times when you do.
Right.
So I'm going to go. All right. So we're going to get to the point in our podcast. We're going to do the rapid fire questions. You wanted to do 5 rapid fire questions with me today. We did a podcast the other day with Jennifer, and she and I came up with 10 questions. So, but we want to do the 5-question rapid fire today. So, do you want to go first on your questions?
Yeah, but I may throw some humdingers in here for you, Carla.
I like humdingers.
Yeah. So basically, I'm just going to ask you all 5 questions. I'm just going to ask you one. You're going to answer. Is that how this rolls?
Yeah, the rapid fire.
Okay. All right. All right. If you could sing one song on American Idol, what would it be?
Oh, if I had a voice like Whitney Houston, what was one of her songs that she sung? That's really good. I always sing it.
Always Love You?
Yes, that's it. You know me.
Yeah, girl.
Always. Okay, get it.
Get it?
I can't even get that high.
Okay. All right, here we go. This is always a crazy question, and I don't know why people ask these questions, but the question is, what is your spirit animal?
Well, I'm a tiger.
You're a what? A tiger?
I'm a tiger.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Is that what they do?
I'm a tiger.
All right. This is a good one that the only people who happen to have phone conversations with you when you're driving in the car will understand. When is the last time you honked that horn?
Oh gosh. Probably several weeks ago, but probably every time I'm in the car.
Sure.
You should know that. I mean, I have you on the phone and you hear me honking the horn.
Horn at everyone, for sure. Okay, so I got 2 more, huh? All
okay.
Right. Okay. Who is your favorite superhero and why?
Oh, Superman.
Okay. You like Superman? Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
And why?
Because he's hot and his sexy type. But no, I like the fact that he's got X-ray vision. He can fly. He's a superhero.
Total.
He saves the day.
Package. He's the whole package.
He's the whole package.
That's right, girl. All right. Are you a morning or a night person?
Oh, I'm a morning person. The earlier, the better.
Can I ask you one more question and throw a 6th?
Yeah. Okay.
What is the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, I ate some snails one time and caviar. But those are not strange. I think caviar is actually really good, to be honest with you. But snails, I wouldn't do again. I'm not,
I don't even understand that.
I don't even like liver.
Yeah.
Forget liver. I don't even like liver.
Right? Ugh.
Yeah. So my questions are, who do you admire the most?
Who do I admire the most? Does it matter if they're dead or alive?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well,
who did you admire the most?
So, I mean, without a question, my grandmother, who we just recently lost, is my most favorite human on the planet, or was on the planet. I loved her so much, and she was amazing. Like, she gave us strength when we needed it, gave us tough love when we needed it, and was an incredible inspiration. So I would say, as far as she's that number one, but if I can add someone else, I was always quite enamored with Princess Diana.
Yes.
That was very devastating to lose her, but so much of who she was and everything.
The grace.
Yeah.
The beauty and the grace.
Yes. So
yeah.
I would say, for someone I don't know, it would be Princess Diana.
Yes, I agree with you. I'm Dolly Parton. I'm all about Dolly Parton. You're probably going to hear her name a lot in my podcast, Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton. I don't blame you. I like her quite a bit too.
Yeah, but Grandma Gigi was one and only. That was such and she was just an inspiration to us all. So I have to say, number one. Dad was number one, number two, number three, number 4, and 5, 6.
Yeah, he was a great man.
You're gonna laugh because I actually picked a couple of the same.
Oh, this does not shock me. I knew that was going to happen. Well, all right.
We're very similar. All right, I picked what was the strangest thing you ever eaten. So, do you want to answer that question, or do you pick another one?
No, I can answer it.
Okay.
I was trying to think, when you answered it, what would I even say? I mean, I did one time go to a restaurant with a client, a Korean restaurant, and they brought a soup out. And I thought maybe it was like monkey brains or something. I don't know what it was, but I had to politely eat it, and I never really knew what it was. So I don't know really what it was that I ate, but the
Was
broth.
it good? Was it any
The broth,
good?
but the texture of the food I was eating was not. I did not want to eat that. But I would say the strangest thing that I ate, and I was tricked into eating it, and I'm sure being from Lower Alabama like me, you've probably had the same experience. Is frog legs. Like I thought it was chicken,
Oh, I love frog legs.
and then I ate it,
I
and it was
love
like,
frog
oh my
legs. You don't
god!
like frog legs?
Well, it tasted like chicken, but I didn't want to order frog legs, so it was.
I mean, that's like somebody growing up. I mean, I ate a lot of Vienna sausages and
Oh yeah, I have had that too.
potty meat and
I've had that
crackers.
too. Gosh, we're embarrassing ourselves, Carla.
You know, I would go fishing with my grandfather, and he would have potty meat and crackers, and I would eat that all day long.
I
I
got
mean, when you're hungry, you're going to eat it.
I got taken to the emergency room one time because I busted into some Vienna sausages that weren't good, but they were somebody else's, and ate them. I got really sick and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So, and I had to admit that I ate their Vienna sausages. They were, can you imagine eating those today? What in the world
Oh,
are we?
I probably would eat them. What's wrong with you? You know what, though? I have
My
to
taste
say,
is evolved, sister.
yeah, I can say this. The only thing I would not eat was Spam. I don't know why, but I wouldn't eat Spam.
All that
I don't know
we
why.
used to eat. What the heck is wrong with us?
I couldn't eat Spam, but I can definitely eat me some potty meat and
Don't shoot.
potty sausages.
Don't.
I mean, heck, we grew up eating oysters. I mean, what do you want?
I like oysters though, but
I love oysters. Yes, definitely. I'm all about the oysters. But all right, so what would you do with your 15 minutes of fame?
mm, what would I do? My 15 minutes of fame. I don't know. Well, do I have a lot of money? In this,
Of course.
I would
You're
buy,
famous.
okay. And I get to keep the money. I would buy a beautiful house in Montana, like some sweet ass, excuse me, um, sweet house on the side of a mountain. That's what I would do. I love
Oh,
Montana.
nice.
Mhm.
Nice.
Is that,
That's what you would do.
and I would
Yes.
give money to my favorite cause, the leftovers.
So I have a trick question here. What TV sitcom family would you be a member of?
Hmm.
Is that a good one?
Yeah, let me think. I don't know. Like, do I get to pick it, or does it most?
Yeah, it says what TV sitcom family
Uh-huh.
would you want to be a member of?
What I want to be? Oh,
Yeah,
um,
I already know mine.
what's the Prince of Bel Air? I'd like to be a member of his family because Bel Air. Maybe I lived at what was the other? Okay, Prince of Bel Air because I could be Carlton's sister, and right,
Is that what you want to be?
yeah.
I was thinking of Family Ties.
Okay, Family Ties.
Yeah, because I was definitely a Michael Keaton
Okay.
fan back then. You remember that?
Yeah.
I love me some Family Ties. But okay, so how many questions have been? I should ask you this last one. What was your favorite book growing up? Do you remember?
Oh, you asked me a question that is a
That's
horrible.
what the rapid fires are about.
Girl
Shira.
is not a reader, so let me just make one up. I'm just kidding. I did read Gone with the Wind, and I liked it. It took me forever to read it, and that's so sad. I am a terrible reader, so we're just.
I was an avid reader growing up, so I love reading.
No. I mean, I read those.
I was all about the Frankenstein series. I love the
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
I don't think I graduated past Judy Blume books. I mean, honestly. So, as a young adult, I read Gone with the Wind. I'm trying to read. It doesn't hold my attention very long. As you can tell, I have a serious case of ADHD. So now that
Yeah, we know you got some squirrel in you.
spam too, apparently potted meat and Vienna.
Potty meat and squirrel.
Uh-huh.
1, 2, 3. Okay, hold on. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that was 5 right there. Do I get a 6th one?
If you want it, girl.
Okay, so what advice did you get that was the most rewarding?
What?
Even know?
No, let me just think about this because I've been given some great advice. I mean,
What would Dad say to you right now?
right now he would be proud of me, but 2 weeks ago he would have told me to get my ass up by my bootstraps and get to popping. I mean, That's not that I'm not doing
I mean,
anyone
popping and locking.
yeah, I'm not doing anyone any good by feeling.
Be calling you, hey kiddo. Here we are, hey kiddo.
Yeah, he totally said, "Hey kiddo, get your ass up by your bootstraps." I don't know if he would say it quite like that, but he would tell me to get my ass up and get my ass in gear. That's exactly what he would say. And I don't know if that's the best advice that anyone has given me. I will say that, you know, I will say, here's some good advice. So I've had like a photographer, that is not a big fan of mine, and has just sent me nasty grams or just imitation grams, by email. And so the best advice on that I was given is I shouldn't really give it much thought, because by giving it any thought, or worry or concerned, she's winning, and I'm consuming myself with something that I have zero control over, which is, what she may think about me. And so I don't know, maybe something to that effect. I don't know.
Who gave you that advice?
Someone you don't know.
Okay.
Did you?
Yes.
Carla. Carla gave me that advice. See, she's my psychologist too. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not really giving a humdinger, very well rehearsed answer here, but I think everything's just circumstantial. So, it'd either be get off my ass when I'm feeling sorry for myself, or don't worry about what the other person's thinking, because they're not thinking about me at that moment. And so I'm the one doing the thinking.
I think that's a great way to end the podcast, is that you can't consume yourself with what everybody else is thinking. And you have to truly believe in what you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And you let your talent shine through. And I think that's so important when you're in this business, because look, business, being a business owner is like, it is hard work, and you're in 100% or you're not. And I think that the true test during all this that we're going through, that we're dealing with, and all the changes that we're having to adjust to, it really is going to be the telltale sign if you're going to make it or not. And you can't give up. You can't give up on your dream, and you can't give up on what you believe in. And so struggles are real. Whether we're going through this or not, you're still going to go through a struggle. You just have to learn how to change and pivot from that, right? I think that's such a true statement.
Correct. I mean, you're right. And it kind of goes back to my quote that I gave you. It's just more about remembering the yes, just tying it, remembering your yes. So, I mean, but if anyone has made it this far into the podcast, because it's kind of long, I'm sure, I did want to mention one thing, Carla, if it's okay with you. I'm actually going to be teaching some children for the next 8 weeks at a small private school in North Carolina, photography. And just once a week, I'm just going to give the children assignments, which I'm so excited about. And I'm just going to open that up to the public, I think, so on my cost. So, maybe we can get that painted chair information out, or just ShiraWRose.com out, and they can learn more about it. But essentially, I'm going to open it up for other children that on the spectrum who are not attending this school.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Shira. I really appreciate your time, and I'm glad that you're a non-podcast virgin now.
So. I know, girl. Yeah. Thank you.
So we'll do this again, and I appreciate you coming and talking on Relatable Struggles today. And I'm Coffee and Hustle, and we'll do this again.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.